doing that because they've been told the ICE agents are Gestapo.
Have you considered the fact that in a city like Los Angeles that has a massive immigrant community, when they see their mothers or fathers or family members rounded up, that leads to a lot of rage and they retaliate? I'm not saying they should. That is criminal. They should not assault a police officer. Let me just tell you something. Someone messes with my family, I get violent. Okay, that's how I feel about family.
Good to know.
I protect family. So don't be surprised when people feel angry when they feel that there's a bunch of feds in their city invading their city,
there's a violent streak in the
going
country
after
right
people
now.
who are just.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. On Thursday, Scott Jennings was on the panel of NewsNight with Abby Phillip, and unsurprisingly, it was a disaster for the wokesters on the panel that included both Cowboy Hat and Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks. Ana Kasparian attempted to mix it up with Scott and ends up condoning violence against ICE agents. But before we get to that, we'll watch Ana Kasparian and her comrades get owned by Scott Jennings as they defend the criminals terrorizing D.C. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings laugh off a patented Ana Kasparian meltdown and do his best to remind the panel what reality looks like. Let's go.
Let's start, though, with Washington, D.C. tonight, where we have federal law enforcement on the streets. We're getting feedback, or hope to get feedback soon, for what they're doing exactly. But why now and not 6 months ago when the president first took office, given the crime is down?
Well, first of all, the homicide rate in Washington, D.C. is very high compared to other major cities and other world capitals. So to continue to say crime is down, I think you're giving people a false sense of the fact that it is, in fact, dangerous in Washington, D.C. But I tried to tell you last night, this issue with the Doge kid, Ed, people are pissed about this, and it hammered home for a lot of Republicans the fact that Washington, D.C. is violent. There's roving street gangs. There's lots of carjackings. And, you know, this guy worked in the White House. He was known to a lot of senior government officials. And I told you last night it had set off a firestorm in the Republican Party. And this is the result.
Carjackings are down in Washington, D.C. 37%. 37%.
From here to here?
Whether 37% is a significant number.
It's not safe.
It's just math, right? It's just math.
On more law enforcement if you want, if you can. But why now? Why tonight and not in January when it was
Why not? Why not? I mean, we all acknowledge that there is some amount of too much violent crime in Washington. Well, most of us acknowledge there's violent crime in Washington, D.C. I think we all agree that having more people out on the street patrolling, looking for criminals is a good thing. Keeping an eye on the streets is a good thing. So why not?
I don't have a problem with adding more police officers as long as they're not like abusing people or using excessive force. What I do wonder about, though, is why is there an issue right now in D.C. where you literally have teenagers? Like, the people doing the carjackings are literally teenagers. There's something going on that needs to be addressed. And right now, it's just kind of dealing with a symptom of, I think, a deeper problem that needs to be addressed.
I'm going to say something here that probably doesn't
go notes. President Trump could have this week or last week gone out and said, hey, look at how much crime has dropped in D.C. This is all because of me. But instead of that, he's seizing on this one crime.
But that's dishonest to say that it's.
I'm telling you what Jonathan Martin is saying here.
We're kind of missing a big part of the story and what happened to that Doge staffer. There was literally a patrol car that saw everything happen, and that didn't prevent the crime from happening, which I think is also very strange, right?
And the only reason he didn't get injured any worse is because the cops happened to be there. I think they arrested 2 out of 10 people.
They did, yeah.
But if you had more police on the street who were available to keep an eye on things, maybe some of these things would not escalate into as violent of a situation as they could be. But the guy was still very seriously injured, despite the fact that the cops were there.
Let me say, too, I would bet if you ask the rank and file right now, in the military.
Only in Democrat politics can failure be rewarded with more power. Washington, D.C. leaders brag that crime is down. That's because they're cherry picking small drops in minor categories, while violent crime, carjackings, armed robberies, homicides is through the roof. People aren't safer. Everyone on that panel knows it. When Democrats do talk solutions, they sound like Ana Kasparian, claiming enforcement is just dealing with a symptom. Okay, Anna, what's the problem then? Because I don't think you know what it is. Because whatever Democrats call the root cause of all the crime plaguing the United States, they clearly don't know what the problem is because their policies never fix it. A clip I didn't play you, but something they talked about earlier in the show was Trump wanting to redo the census for citizens only. But this is the same mindset behind their fight against a citizen-only census. The current system gives them more political power simply because they've allowed millions of illegal immigrants into the country. That's not even gerrymandering, which both parties do. I acknowledge that. That's importing representation. In what world do you get rewarded for breaking the system? Ana Kasparian also says we need to reform immigration laws. Fine. Fix the legal process later, but first clean up the mess that the Democrats created by actually enforcing our laws and removing people that have absolutely no right to be in this country. If the United States already has a crime problem, adding millions more people with no assimilation and no loyalty isn't reform. It's pouring gas on a dumpster fire. And Van Latham's horrible rebuttal to everything Scott said, he's like, it's just math. It's just math. Yeah. The math is simple. More lawlessness doesn't make you safer. Back to it.
All right, go ahead, Dan.
No, I was going to say, look, you cited a poll a minute ago about immigration policies, right? I think some of President Trump's immigration policies are very popular. Others, like some of the tactics being used, are not as popular.
And that's what South Park was pointing out there.
I agree with that.
I think on this particular thing in LA, it's in MacArthur Park, which if you talk to people around us in the federal government, they believe this is one of the MS-13 strongholds.
The Home Depot parking lot,
And
though?
this MacArthur Park neighborhood
is an actual park, and there was criminality there.
And this
I will
neighborhood
agree with that.
is in the clutches of MS-13, and they're pulling every lever they can think of to try to alleviate the control of MS-13 in an area where everybody seems to acknowledge, yes, it's a hotbed for an illegal, violent, transnational criminal gang.
If anyone is
So-
MS-13, then everyone is MS-13.
Right. I mean,
If you want to give MacArthur Park a pass and just let it go, fine.
I'm in MacArthur Park all the time.
I think the American people voted for some immigration enforcement because there was none previously, and now there is some.
people were sold the false promise that violent criminals and dangerous people are going to get rounded up. Instead,
they are.
day
And they
laborers are getting rounded
A
up.
lot of violent people are being
Going
rounded
to
up.
a lot of these raids in LA have happened at Home Depot parking lots.
You cannot discount the fact that
They've
a lot of
happened
criminals are
outside of
being rounded up.
schools,
A lot of
literally
them.
as parents are dropping off their kids. You know what? Great. Let the Trump administration
Go
continue
for it.
doing this. Seriously, go for it. Because that pendulum's going to swing right back to the far left. when it comes
There's
to
a
immigration
statistic
policy. I
here from
promise you.
Track. There's a statistic here from Track Immigration. 71% of current ICE detainees have no criminal convictions.
Other than the fact that they're in the country illegally.
Convictions.
Well,
criminal convictions.
continue to go up.
But that's
and-
the point, right? Do we know for sure they're expanding these ages, letting in people that may not have been let before? Do you feel like the standards are there?
Well, I hope they are. I mean, look, always with law enforcement, you hope that the standards are higher, right? The better departments have the higher standards.
I will just say Republicans right now are trying to recruit and give bonuses to people who want to serve in ICE. And Democrats right now and people on the left are encouraging violence against people who want to serve in ICE.
They are? How
and
are they encouraging
are putting
violence?
them in harm's way every day.
How
So
exactly?
the two parties and how they're treating ICE agents right now, I think Republicans embracing recruitment of ICE and Democrats encouraging maybe violence.
So we're just
ICE.
going to make a declarative
Terrible.
statement like that without providing a single shred of evidence.
You have
How-
not seen the
how
myriad
have
stories of
Democrats-
ICE agent.
Okay, hold
Democrats
on.
every day are calling them the
No, 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 no.
Gestapo.
Hold
Do you
on.
think that helps or
Hold on.
hurts?
Well, they do act like Gestapo when
Now
they're
you're doing
showing
it.
up.
Now you're
yeah,
doing
well,
it.
they are.
I
If they're
assume-
just showing
I
up
assume you
at-
condone the
in
violence.
Penske trucks.
Do you condone the
at
violence?
Home Depot.
Because
Listen,
they cannot
I don't want my
Penske trucks
tax
does not
dollars
make
going to
them
that
Gestapo.
garbage, okay? Those people do
Enforcement
not
of federal
deserve
law?
to be treated that way simply
Who
because
does? What
they
people?
might be
Do the ICE
undocumented.
agents deserve to be having violent acts committed, rocks thrown at them?
No, they
people
don't.
Trying to
They don't.
kill
And
them?
those people who do that get arrested, and they should be
And why
arrested.
don't
I
they
think
don't
that's
always get
needed.
arrested?
Because they've been told the ICE agents are
Have you
Gestapo.
considered the fact that in a city like Los Angeles that has a massive immigrant community, when they see their mothers or fathers or family members rounded up, that leads to a lot of rage and they retaliate. I'm not saying they should. That is criminal. They should not assault
sounds
a
like you're
police
condoning
officer.
it.
Let me just tell you something. Someone messes with my family, I get violent. Okay, that's how I feel
Okay,
about family.
good to know.
I protect family. So don't be surprised when people feel angry when they feel that there's a bunch of feds in their city
There's a violent
invading their
streak- there's a
city,
violent streak in
going
the country
after
right
people
now
who are just day
against-
laborers that are
Yeah,
Home
but
Depot parking lot.
that's dangerous.
Only on CNN could deporting people who break our laws be framed as the real crime. The panel pushes this fantasy that Trump only promised to deport violent, illegal alien criminals. It's just not true. From day one, it was all illegal immigrants. Do you all really think this argument that the left keeps making, that ICE is picking up people in Home Depot parking lots, is a good one. If I was walking in Home Depot and I saw that, I'd be thrilled. That's what I voted for. That's enforcement in action. But I guess it is a mystery. Why would ICE go to Home Depot parking lots? I don't know what their tactics are, where they're getting their intelligence. It's totally random, right? I mean, we've seen this 1,000 times on this show alone. They show a slide claiming 71% of ICE detainees haven't been convicted of a crime. Yeah, except for the part where they entered our country illegally. And they've been evading law enforcement for a long time because our laws weren't enforced. So you're right, they're not convicted yet, but they broke the law. So pretending that that doesn't count, that they came here illegally, is just intellectual dishonesty. Scott's right. The left's rhetoric is encouraging violence against ICE. Agents are being attacked. Attempts are made on their life. They're being doxxed. Why do they have to wear masks? Why do you think? Then Anna's true nature come out. If someone messes with my family, I get violent. Okay, she's comparing law-abiding citizens to people who broke the law. If my dad robbed a bank and got arrested, I wouldn't get violent. I'd expect the law to be enforced. The line has never been clear as far as what side you're on. You either stand with law enforcement or you stand with lawlessness. But what do you guys think? Should ICE keep ramping up the enforcement like this, or should we focus more on changing the laws first? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm sure you guys have a lot to do. It's Sunday, so no announcements today. I'll go easy on you. Otherwise, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video today. I really, really appreciate it. Never forget, Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.